we're live. I kind of missed that. Hi everyone, this is Bodhipaksa from Wild Mind here, and we're doing a series at the moment on 4 meditations, which are collectively known as the 4 Brahma Viharas, which means the divine abidings. Sometimes they're also called the immeasurables as well. And these are 4 practices, with the basic practice being loving kindness, or you can even just think about it as kindness, where we're connecting with an innate sense that we all have, that we want ourselves to be happy, and we want other beings to be happy as well. The second of these practices is the development of compassion, karuna bhavana, and there we're wishing beings to be happy, but we're also aware of the fact that very often they're not happy. In fact, a lot of the time we're suffering. Just to enlarge on that a little bit, sometimes our Western notion of suffering is kind of, let's say, materialistic often. So when we think in terms of suffering and whether we're suffering or not, often we'll think in terms of, whether people are homeless, or they're in a war zone, or whether there's something physically wrong with them, they've broken a leg or are in pain or something like that. But Buddhism has a very broad understanding of what suffering is, and that includes a lot of very ordinary everyday mental suffering. For example, when we're experiencing anxiety, we're suffering. Even when we're angry, we're suffering. When we're longing for something that we don't have, we're suffering as well. So we're wishing that beings be free from all forms of suffering. I have a little technical issue to sort out. Could you give me just 1 second? Mark, could you mute your microphone? Great. We just had another open mic in the office, and I was getting a bit of feedback, so you might have heard a little bit of an echo, but that's sorted out now. The third of these practices, again, we're wishing that beings be happy, beings including ourselves, but we're aware of the fact that this does not happen in a vacuum. Happiness, well-being, joy, peace, serenity, all of those things that we're wishing beings don't just happen randomly. They happen on the basis of causes and conditions. And Buddhism sees all of those qualities, joy, peace, fulfillment, etc., as arising on the basis of skillful qualities, skillful mental qualities, skillful mental states, and skillful actions. So what that means, in short, is, well, to do it the other way around, there are certain things that we do, think, say, which end up causing us suffering. So anything, traditionally speaking, that's based on greed, hatred, or delusion is going to end up causing us suffering. Usually causes us suffering actually in the moment. When you're angry with someone, for example, there is suffering going on there, whether you notice it or not. But having been angry with someone, you've got an upset person on your hands. You have to deal with that upset person. Maybe they're going to retaliate, or maybe you have the fear of retaliation, or maybe their feelings are hurt, and your trust with them has been damaged, and those too are sources of suffering. So those are so unskillfulness. Those kinds of thoughts, actions, words lead to suffering. If we don't act unskillfully, if we act on the basis of qualities that are diametrically opposed to greed, hatred, and delusion, then we're more likely to experience happiness, joy, fulfillment, peace. So that's things like genuine empathy, having genuine empathy for people, having love, acting out of kindness, having kind thoughts, speaking kindly, acting kindly. Qualities like mindfulness, leads to well-being. Generosity leads to well-being. So contentment, patience. Yeah, you can see how all of those qualities, on the whole, tend to promote happiness, well-being, peace, a life well lived, a life that we can look at and be happy about the way that we're living, not be full of regrets and living in fear. So the Mudita Bhavana is the development of, well, my preferred translation of it is joyful appreciation. Sometimes, most often, in fact, it's translated either as sympathetic joy or empathetic joy. Sympathetic, the word sympathetic tended to be used, earlier on, and at that time the word sympathy and empathy had much closer meanings. So you could have sympathy, for example, for someone who was happy. Nowadays we tend to use the word sympathy to mean having empathy for somebody who is not happy, or something close to that anyway. So nowadays people tend to talk more in terms of empathetic joy. So somebody else is joyful and you feel happy because of that. But that actually misses the key element that makes mudita mudita. It's not just being happy because somebody else is happy. It's valuing the good, valuing the skillful in others. It's valuing that in others which brings them peace and joy and happiness, and valuing those qualities in ourselves as well. So this is what we do in the Mudita Bhavana practice. It's a kind of rejoicing. We actually look for positive, skillful qualities, and we acknowledge and we value those, and we hope that they're going to continue and increase and lead to happiness and well-being in the future. So the way the practice works is that we begin with cultivating mudita towards ourselves. So we can use phrases such as, may my good qualities increase, may my happiness continue and increase. So we just drop those phrases into the mind and let them have an effect. You're not trying to make anything happen, you just drop them in. They will have an effect. It may take a little while for the effect to build up to the point where we can consciously detect that some change is taking place, but it is having an effect whether you're aware of it or not. So just trust that the process works. It's like if you're sandpapering a piece of wood, the piece of wood is being sandpapered. The progress can look very slow, but you just have to keep doing it. In the second stage of the practice, and there are 5 stages altogether. So very kind of solid. I don't think, on his, well, I don't think he was very conscious on his deathbed, but, as he was approaching the end of his life, I don't think he was looking bad and thinking, my life didn't really amount to very much. he actually achieved a huge amount in his life. I think he's the kind of person who's going to look back and feel good about what he's done. I think of people like the writer and poet Maya Angelou, who overcame tremendous discrimination and hardship in her early life, and again achieved quite amazing things. So call someone to mind that you feel that you can respond to in that kind of a way. Now, it may be, of course, that someone that you call to mind has done other things as well. I'm sure Nelson Mandela wasn't perfect. I'm quite sure that Maya Angelou wasn't perfect. I think of Dr. Ambedkar, who, if you're a Buddhist, you may have heard of him. If you're not a Buddhist, you probably haven't. But he was born as an untouchable, someone basically the lowest of the low in Indian society, someone the touch of whose shadow was regarded as being inherently polluting, someone who was not allowed to go to school, for example, because the caste system wouldn't allow it. And he gained an education through sheer determination, quite an amazing quality. He actually sat outside the classroom. He couldn't participate in any of the activities, but he sat outside the classroom, listening and taking notes, and he taught himself that way. He managed to get himself a law degree. He managed to become a government minister. When India became independent, he wrote the constitution, and he led this incredible campaign to help free untouchables from the oppression that they faced. So I meant to mention him earlier as well and forgot, so I'm throwing him in now. But you might think of somebody like that, and you can be aware of the fact that they had bad days or they had bad habits, but you're focusing on the fact we're all mixed. Yeah, we're all mixed. We've all got skillful and unskillful qualities, and it's our skillful qualities that bring us peace, joy, happiness, and a sense of fulfillment. So it's that you're looking at. You're consciously choosing to focus on the skillful in that person. And again, you're wishing, may your good qualities continue and increase. May your happiness continue and increase. Somehow, someone being dead doesn't particularly, affect that for me. It may be that for that to be meaningful for you, you need to pick somebody who's alive. But again, that somehow just doesn't bother me at all. Then we choose what we call a neutral person, somebody we don't have any strong connection with. So this is the third of our practices, third stage of the practice. So this is somebody we don't have any special dislike for, we don't have any particular liking for them, we don't perhaps know them particularly well. We might see them in the context of the service in the grocery store, or they're working behind the counter in the post office, or they deliver our mail, or they're a neighbor or work in the same building. So yeah, kind of a neutral person. We may not know this person particularly well. We may, if you just sit with an image, bring up memories, allow memories to come up of this person, you may notice things about them. Maybe they do have a sense of patience, or a good sense of humor, or a way of dealing with with difficult customers, or something like that. So you can be aware of those qualities and wish them well, using the same kinds of words. May your good qualities increase. May your happiness continue and increase. And then choose a difficult person, somebody that there's some kind of conflict or difficulty with, and we do exactly the same thing. You call them to mind. Sometimes there can be a bit of resistance here, a little bit of in the round about the heart or the solar plexus. There's a bit of tension. Just accept that. Allow that to be there. It's not bad. It's quite natural. You just let that be there, and you wish this person well. You wish that their good qualities increase, and you wish that their happiness continue and increase. Now, in all of these stages, you can actually call to mind specific qualities in yourselves and in others, and you can name those. So rather than saying, may your good qualities increase, you could say, may your patience increase. May your kindness increase. May your friendliness increase. May your generosity increase. I find that naming qualities like that actually makes the practice much more real for me. So throughout the practice, I'm going to just use the generic term good qualities, but I would suggest that if you can, you name those qualities. Even with yourself. A lot of us are reluctant to admit to there being anything admirable about ourselves. We've been conditioned to think, for example, that that might be a boastful thing to do. However, we're not boasting, we're just recognizing what is there. If it helps, think in terms of qualities that you have that perhaps you don't exhibit all of the time. Perhaps they're not like a major part of your personality, but they're there. So sometimes you are patient, okay? I mean, sometimes you lose your temper, yeah, but sometimes you are patient. So you're just noticing, remembering, recollecting that yes, patience is a part of you. It's a part of who you are. And you're wishing that that continue and increase because it brings you more happiness than the losing your temper. Sometimes you're full of anxiety and you're lacking confidence, and sometimes you're courageous. So notice the skillful qualities that you have. You're focusing on those, consciously focusing on the skillful and giving those your attention. So I mentioned 4 of the practices so far. There's yourself, there's the admirable person, there's the neutral person, and the difficult person. And then the last stage, we're going to broaden our well-wishing outwards into the world so that in essence we're wishing all beings well. We're wishing that all beings' skillful qualities grow, that they increase, and that their happiness continue and increase. So let's get ourselves set up for meditating. Find a good posture to sit in. I usually find that if I'm sitting on an office chair, then leaning forward a little, and wiggling your butt back toward the back of the chair, and then sitting up. Usually that gives a little bit more support. You get some support in the lower spine, which allows you to sit upright in a relaxed kind of a way. You want to be sitting in a way that is upright and that allows you to breathe freely. Think in terms of sitting with dignity. And you also want to be able to relax the body, so you're not holding yourself rigidly upright in what you regard as being a perfect posture, because that's going to be anything but perfect after a few minutes. Your muscles are going to ache. Just letting the body relax. Maybe taking a couple of deep breaths. Really letting go on the out breath. And allowing your eyes to close. And I suggest you start off by just being aware of the space around you. You're aware of the physical space in front, behind, to the sides, even above and below you. And being aware of the sounds in that space. Just allowing those sounds to be there. Just letting them pass through you without resistance, without you hanging onto them. And aware of the light filling the space around you as well. and becoming more aware of the space that is your body, the inner space of physical sensations and feelings and thoughts. Being aware, first of all, of whatever sensations are arising in the body right now. You can, if you want, do a little mini body scan, a quick body scan, just letting your awareness travel around the body, just noticing all the different sensations that you find. Or you can, if you wish, just have more of a kind of holistic, defocused gaze. So if you're relaxing your eyes, relaxing the muscles around your eyes, and just being aware of the whole body at once. Noticing the feeling tone that you're bringing to this period of practice. So you may be feeling neutral, you're not sure how you're feeling. The overall feeling tone may be unpleasant in some way. Maybe you're in a bad mood today or something. And that would be okay. That's just where you're starting from. Or it may be that actually you're feeling quite happy, relaxed, calm. And then if you want, you can think of just 2 or 3 skillful qualities that you have. Either well developed or a bit more germinal. And we begin to celebrate those qualities. May my good qualities increase. May my happiness continue and increase. May my good qualities increase. May my happiness continue and increase. And as I suggested, you can drop in the names of good qualities, skillful qualities that you recognize within yourself. If you feel any resistance, any discomfort while calling to mind skillful qualities, then just accepting that sense of discomfort. It's okay for that to be there. You don't have to fix it. Just keep going with the practice. And next, we're calling to mind someone that we find admirable, someone that we think of as being happy or joyful or at peace or having a great sense of meaning in their lives, and someone that we think of as having skillful qualities that contribute to that way of being. And you can name the skillful qualities as you're wishing. May your good qualities increase. May your happiness continue and increase. And now calling to mind someone that we would regard as being relatively neutral. They're not a friend. We don't have any difficulties with them. Perhaps we don't really know them very well. And psychologists have shown that we pick up on people's qualities or make an assessment of their character and personality within something like a tenth of a second of seeing them. So you've probably seen this neutral person for a lot more than a tenth of a second. You probably have a sense, even if you haven't thought about it before, of what they're like, of what some of their positive qualities might be. We're just going to celebrate those positive qualities, which you might want to name, saying, may your good qualities increase. May your happiness continue and increase. And now calling to mind someone that you have difficulty with. There's perhaps some kind of conflict there, or they've done something that you find hurtful, or you tend to criticize them. It's the kind of person that's hard for us to see the good in them, because we tend to focus on the things we don't like. So just calling this person to mind. It may be that we're aware that other people respect skillful qualities in them. Perhaps we ourselves, if we just give it a little thought, can notice their positive qualities. And if you're unable to specifically name any skillful qualities, then just using the standard phrase, may your good qualities increase. May your happiness continue and increase. So specifically the happiness that arises from these good qualities that you're valuing, and hope that it grows. Once again, becoming aware of the space around you. the actual space and the light and the sounds filling it. Aware of the space in front of you, behind you, to the sides, above and below you. And you may be aware of other beings in this space, human beings and non-human beings. And you can wish them well, saying, may your good qualities increase, may your happiness continue and increase. I'd suggest not focusing on individual people. You may be aware of someone in the next room, someone upstairs, people outside driving cars. So not focusing on them individually, but just imbuing your field of awareness with mudita, with a rejoicing in the skillful. And you can call to mind the others who were present in your practice, the admirable person, the neutral person, the person you find difficult. Perhaps imagining that they're sitting around you right now. They're just part of this space, part of this space of awareness. And your awareness is imbued with mudita, so that every being you touch with your awareness, you wish them well in that way. You rejoice in their skillful qualities. You rejoice in the happiness, the joy, the peace that result from those skillful qualities. And you can take your awareness further afield. The way traditionally the Buddha explained this practice was that you call to mind one direction, first of all, perhaps the space in front of you, the quarter in front of you, and whatever beings may be in that space, either detectable to your physical senses because you can hear them or just know that they're present, or beings that you call to mind. You're aware of them because you know places directly in front of you. You've been there. So you can imagine people wandering around in the streets or driving cars or working in shops or factories or being in their houses. And as you see them, you can wish them well. May the good qualities of all beings increase. May the happiness of all beings continue and increase. And doing the same for the next quarter, perhaps to your right. May the good qualities of all beings increase. May the happiness of all beings continue and increase. Then space behind you. Wishing beings well. And the space to your left. You can be aware of the whole sphere of space around you, not just in front and behind and to the sides, but above and below. As far out as you like, as far out as is comfortable. May the good qualities of all beings increase. May the happiness of all beings continue and increase. And then just becoming more aware again of your immediate experience. Just sitting here, breathing in and breathing out, and aware of the space around you. And seeing if you can keep that sense of appreciation and of valuing the skillful in your mind as you begin to open the eyes and gently move the body.